Thank you, candidates, for being here tonight. We're going to begin with a 1-minute introductory statement, and I think we'll start there with you, Ms. Glover.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity for the voters to hear us, making it easy for people to view from in their home. Thank you, CBTV. My name is Linda Glover. I'm running for position 3. I began my professional career as an elementary teacher and an elementary principal. My daughter married and moved to Vancouver, and so my husband and I came here, and he started a small business. And I got involved. I thought I would continue on in education, thought I'd take a year off, and got involved with a nonprofit. I now have been executive director of that nonprofit since we came here in about 1998. And during that time, I've also been involved with our business downtown on Main Street, Divine Consign. Our mission is to support the communities and raise the quality of life for everyone in our community. I became involved in Vancouver's Downtown Association and have been working very hard to revitalize Main Street. I think you can see the results of that. Some amazing things are happening down there. And so I'm very proud of the work I've done with that. During that time, I've been involved with city committees and a number of different capacities. It got me interested, it got me involved, and that is why I'm running for city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beardshire?
Thank you, the League of Women's Voters, for organizing and hosting this forum, and thank you to all of you for attending. Educating your voters is very important so they're able to make an educated vote. My name is Michelle Beardshire, and I'm running for Vancouver City Council Position 3. Moving forward, our city will have 0 city council members or even running for this election representing anywhere other than downtown. Is that smart of Vancouver, or is that wise to put all of our eggs in one basket? I say no. We need equal representation throughout the town. Instead of all 6 members and mayor residing in the downtown area, I will be that one representative who provides equal representation throughout our beautiful city. I'm proud to live on that east side. I will also represent the average Joe, the middle class, the low income, minorities of race and of disability, regardless of your economic status or the part of town you call home. Whether you're part of Vancouver's inner circle or that other 80% like myself, I promise to equally represent you. I have my bachelor's degree in business administration. I'm a well-respected employee at Clark Public Utilities, and I am a chair of the East Neighborhood Mill Plain Association. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll begin our first question with Ms. Beardshire. The city is in the process of acquiring the Town Plaza property on Mill Plain, west of Divine Road. How do you think that property should be redeveloped?
There's a few ways we can redevelop. I think it would be really good to get some shops or retail in the central Vancouver area, disperse the economic growth all the way throughout the east side and downtown. There's development downtown and there's development on the east side. Let's get it in middle central Vancouver as well. We can also bring in a little bit of housing. I don't want us to put the whole property towards low-income housing, but we also need some inclusionary housing in the central area as well. We're providing a lot of homeless outreach in the downtown area. It would be a good place to provide some homeless outreach in the central area as well, and that would be a good location for that.
Thank you. Ms. Glover, the same question. The city is in the process of acquiring the Town Plaza property on Mill Plain, west of Divine Road. How do you think that property should be redeveloped?
I'm very excited about this purchase by the city. I do know that the proposal was to put storage units in that large amount of area. And so I'm very excited to see some economic development happening there that will provide services for more people. You can see what economic investment has done on the waterfront. You also can look out on the east side and see what the economic investment has done on 192nd, and it spurs a lot of business and a lot of services for people. At the town mall, the latest thing we hear about in development and urban planning is livability, walkability, services and living, apartments, residential, that are in one area that a number of people can walk to, that are on main transportation lines, like the Mill Plain has main transportation. And it's really not just for the residents who live in Tower Mall, but it's really for the neighbors all around that area. There are 8 neighborhood associations that have been meeting lately. The city's been doing a wonderful job of getting them involved in the beginning creation of what that place will look like, what kind of services they want to have happen there. And I think it's very, very exciting for the central part of our city.
Thank you. Our second question will start with you, Ms. Glover. How can public transportation be improved, both locally and to Portland and its suburbs?
The transportation is an important part of looking forward into our city. And of course, that's the responsibility of city government and city councils, be looking ahead. I had a good friend that said a good city council person's like a pool player, you're always 2 shots ahead. So we're looking to the future to see what our community needs. We also have an interesting thing going on in our culture where our young people no longer are as attached to automobiles as perhaps my generation. They're looking for more public transportation. But it's a delicate balance. We have to improve ridership to be able to improve services. And to improve services, to improve ridership, we need to have more ways for people to be able to, a more complex system. Right now, we have a few bus lines. We need to have more of them meter out into the neighborhoods so people can get on those buses and be able to ride to downtown or to businesses or wherever they need to be going. So it's a balance between offering more services but making sure that they're being people are using them and yet there's ridership.
Thank you. Same question for you, Ms. Beard-Shear. How can public transportation be improved both locally and to Portland and its suburbs?
Public transportation is key and it needs to be kept. As a disabled individual, I used to rely on public transportation. It's low cost, it's guaranteed ride. The problem with public transportation is the time it takes to get from point A to point B. C-Tran has been on top of their game. We actually have a program in progress. It's called Route on Shoulder or Bus on Shoulder. It's where the bus will actually be able to ride on the shoulder of Highway 14 to allow access to get from point A to point B a lot quicker. C-Tran is also amazing in our regional district. We're the first to bring over mass transportation to this side of the United States, to the Washington, Oregon area. We have the Vine put in place. That Vine needs to expand. Not only is it on 4th Plain now, but it needs to get up on Mill Plain as well. We need to get those into the corridors that are outreaching the important parts, both sides of the town. So we need to include more mass transit. We need to include more programs like Bus on Shoulder. And we need to keep costs down. Fixed incomes do not go up, so cost should not go up if we can keep that at all down.
Great, thank you. And Ms. Beard-Shear, what is your opinion on how the new voter-approved tax for developing affordable housing is or should be used?
I think it's amazing that our citizens voted this in. I think it's amazing that our city council allowed the citizens to vote this in and just didn't put it in place. I think there's several ways that it should be dispersed. First and foremost, we need an emergency shelter. It's been, I believe, over 7 years, maybe just about a decade before the last emergency shelter has been put in. It is a there is a federal moratorium that does not allow you to turn off somebody's electricity if it is freezing cold at night. So then why is it that our city allows people to sleep outside? That's not acceptable. We need a shelter. We also need to bring in developers who are going to be experts at affordable housing and building affordable housing. We need to allow affordable housing costs to be developed in the appropriate ways, and we need that money to be spent appropriately. I like Maureen's ideas about how we need to guarantee that a certain amount of houses are scheduled for the low income or for the disabled or for the seniors, specifically for minorities. We're not trying to centralize these groups, but we need to include these groups and not allow them.
Thank you. And Ms. Glover, what is your opinion on how the new voter-approved tax for developing affordable housing is or should be used?
Like Michelle mentioned, I'm just very pleased to see that the voters gave such a strong support for this initiative. I mean, it's a very complex problem that we're facing for a number of reasons. There's not a simple solution to how we're going to approach affordability for housing for all levels of income, but also how we can get people housed that don't have houses at this time. I think that, I'm sorry, I just kind of lost my train of thought. The question was? Okay.
Which new voter-approved tax for developing
Okay.
affordable housing, how is it or should it be used?
A lot of work was put into the plan. It was a well-written plan. Now it's my responsibility, if I'm elected to city council, to put that plan into place. Make sure that we're listening to the people, that we're looking at that the right things are going on, that we are applying those funds in the way that we said we would, and the way that it'll help most people. I think a good part of that is the incentivization for builders, developers to be able to build and then have affordable, a certain amount of that for low-income families.
Thank you. And to begin with Linda, in 2011, Vancouver's Climate Action Plan stated that we should wait for the federal government to act. Do you believe our local government should take action and serve as a role model as other cities and states are doing? What specific actions would you recommend?
I definitely don't think we can wait, and I definitely think that Vancouver should be a leader in what can happen in our state and in our area. I think that work should get started right away as soon as I'm elected. If I'm elected, I'd like to get started on that. And I think we have two areas that we really want to address, and that's safety of our water. We live on a very pristine, beautiful waterway that's important to the city, but also to industry, to commerce, and we need to make sure that we're protecting that water. And also air quality. We all know of cities and other places where they haven't been able to protect their air quality. We have been able to do that. We need to continue to be good stewards of the air and of the water, and I really encourage us to move forward with that.
Thank you. And Michelle, the same question. In 2011, Vancouver's Climate Action Plan stated that we would wait for the federal government to act. Do you believe our local government should take action and serve as a role model as other cities and states are doing? What specific actions would you recommend?
Well, I'm an action girl and I'm a leader, so I think that Vancouver should step up like we normally typically do. Currently, we have a moratorium in place that's going to ban construction on facilities that are small enough to squeak through the EFSEC process. We need to keep that moratorium in place. We're all about air quality and we're all about water quality. Right now, we run on the Columbia River, and it's the most beautiful river between, well, I think in the entire world, but you know, I'm a little biased. But we need to keep our salmon runs going. We need to keep our fish and our environment. And it all starts with stream stewards. We need to get people more involved with the growth of springs and streams, and how Klein Line and the Salmon Creek areas just really fold into our water. We need to get more people educated on the environment, and we need to get more outreach into our communities so people can get involved.
Thank you. Our last question, and we'll start with you, Michelle. What are the most needed infrastructure improvements for Vancouver, and how can they be accomplished?
Well, personally, I think one of the most needed infrastructure issues is traffic. Traffic is forever going to be a problem in Vancouver. We need to get used to it. One thing that we really can do is pick up our east-west corridors. We are currently working with Ryan Laposa, who is the transportation manager with the city. He tells me about the 18th Street project and how it's going well. And he tells me about another 2 or 3 years, there'll be the First Street project going through to open up those east-west corridors. We also have the project being funded right now through WADOT that's going to increase SR 14 between up to the 205 exit. We need to really work with our states. We really need to work with our funding. We need to research for all grants possible. And I also think an infrastructure issue is our education system. We have a 10% dropout in the 2 school districts that we run. I think we really need to promote our children, because that's where our future comes from. We need to put a lot more money into our educational system. We need to put a lot more money into our future, and that starts with our children.
Thank you. And Linda, what are the most needed infrastructure improvements for Vancouver, and how can they be accomplished?
I think the number one need right now is transportation. We've talked a little bit about that, about mass transportation, making it easier for people to move around, to get to the services, to get to the goods that they need to use. That we right now, the citizens the city council put into place a transportation benefit district addressing the needs that we have for our streets and our arterials, but that's really just a maintenance. That's just getting us caught up to where we should be. We fell behind a bit during the recession. We need to be looking to the future and what are we going to do so people can move around more easily, more quickly. We talk a lot about cars moving around, but also how do we get people to move around? How do we get them to get buses? How do we get to multimodal transportation, people to use bikes to be able to get around the community, biking, through walking, on buses and cars, in a variety of ways. And I think that's in the future to help people get to jobs. Because of the cost of housing going up more in the inner part of the city, people are going to be moving further away. They're going to be further away from their jobs. They have to have easy ways and affordable ways to be able to get around town and get to their jobs.
Great. Thank you, both of you candidates. We're ready for your 1-minute closing statement, and we'll start with Ms. Glover.
People ask why you're running for city council, and I have a dream. And that dream, or this picture I have in my head, is it a couple or looking for a place to locate their business? And they come into Vancouver and they look around, and as they drive in, they see that the community is vital, it feels vibrant, the medians are clean, the parks are green, they talk to people and find out that their education system is strong, they find out that there's a good workforce, a number of people here, and they decide, I think this is a place that we want to move. I think it has very positive tax structure, and I think it's a place that we want to move, and we see a place that our family and our business can thrive. That is my dream. That's pretty complex, but that's what really motivates me to work on city council. As I mentioned, I've been involved with the city. I have been a leader throughout my professional career. I look forward to working on solving problems, finding creative and innovative solutions to those problems, and I'd appreciate your support for city council position number 3.
Thank you. Ms. Beard-Shear, your closing statement.
Thank you. In closing, we talked about several important issues tonight. Both Ms. Glover and myself clearly have a vision and a passion for the city that we call home. With that being said, I want to bring focus on the importance of balance, the importance of equality, and the importance of district voting. It's set in large cities for a reason because it helps bring inclusion. Tonight, Ms. Glover spoke with passion and enthusiasm about downtown, but downtown is only a small fraction of the entire city of Vancouver. Downtown is a quaint little environment to eat, and it has many small businesses and shops, but it offers overcrowded streets and jobs that pay cities less than average wage of $12 an hour. There are big hopes for the waterfront project to bring visitors. They say it'll help with our economy, and I hope it does. But truthfully, if people are unable to pay their rent because they can't get a job that pays a living wage, and they would rather pay tolls, taxes, gas, and their time, with more visitors coming to our quaint little downtown eateries and shops, how does that help the people that currently live here pay their rent? For the past decade, the development and job opportunity on the east side have been the economic staple for Vancouver. We need Michelle Beard-Shear on council for equal representation.
Thank you, candidates.